Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. This is a new section called the Brotherhood. I feel really privileged to have two special guests on my show. Tony, hi Tony.
Hi, Michael.
Mike, back again for another.
Hi Mike, glad to be back. Good to see you.
Yeah, so it's great. The whole purpose of this was to have a safe space for men to talk and share their experiences with mental health and their challenges. And it's fine with women, they have a sisterhood and they're good at really supporting one another and being there to listen and a safe space for that support. And I think as men, we need to have a lot more safe spaces and feel that we can open up and we feel that we can share.
Yeah.
So that was the whole purpose of me starting this, and hopefully, it just grows and becomes even bigger, and more men feel this is a platform they could come on and talk and share their experiences.
Yeah, I really hope so, Mike, because the world needs more of this for men, for everyone, but for men, big time. So yeah, let's get that momentum going and keep it going, growing.
Yeah, 100%. Today's all around the challenges as men with mental health that we've had to overcome or we're still dealing with. Some of it we still haven't overcome, and it's a process and it's a journey that we're on. So Tony, could you mention some of the challenges you've had to deal with in regards to mental health on your journey?
The challenges are like when I am feeling down or emotional and feeling vulnerable in all sorts of areas, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually. When I'm feeling that way, I tend to internalize it, and I think a lot of men do, and we don't tend to share. And it's not until it comes to breaking point that we tend to it all bursts out, and it comes out in a flood, and a lot of the time it comes out to the wrong people, and they don't understand. And then you get the cliche saying, man up, what's wrong with you, and it's all that garbage that just goes with it. But I found now that since I've started to sort of open up, and particularly on a one-to-one basis with other men, particularly younger guys, actually.
Oh, really?
They tend to be a little bit more, because that culture is gradually starting to creep in. Like both of my sons, they tend to be a lot more open in terms of sharing their emotions and sharing what they're actually feeling deep down inside. So yeah, but for me personally, because you've been brought up in a culture where men don't cry, men don't share these sort of things, and it's looked upon as being too feminine if you share a lot of these emotions and things and how you're feeling. And that sort of it's basically, it's just sort of trying to sort of deal with a lot of the internal conflicts that you're feeling, and expressing it, and knowing when to express it as well.
So how have you managed to navigate that as time's gone on and should I say experienced, you've got used to dealing with these emotions? How have you managed to navigate through that and work past it? Because that's tough, and all those feelings we still go through, because mental health is it's a daily thing. It's not something that you've just experienced once and then it's gone once you do it. So how have you managed to manage these emotions? And
basically, managing these emotions, I've managed to sort of go to the right people who I feel comfortable with, and share my innermost feelings. And I find that is quite a relief, and it's particularly choosing the right people, to people who you feel that won't be shocked and won't, look at you in a funny way or and avoid you. But and I've just found that once I think you've opened up to certain people, it reciprocates and they tend to open up as well. And I'm not saying that they always will, but a lot of the time, in my experience, that they have, and because, like for an example, yesterday I've been trying something out at work, mental and emotional being plan, and I sent it to my managers and to the personnel officers, and one guy who's quite high up in the organization, he emailed me back and just said, "Thanks for this, Tony, because I've really been struggling with this." And you wouldn't, on a sort of day-to-day basis, when you look at him, you wouldn't think, he's got it all together, but no. So yeah, it's sharing with the right people, and also platforms like which you've produced. A lot of them are springing up now, and I've found that there's a commonality, and you can share things which you wouldn't dare share otherwise.
100%. And you just made me remember when I first started sharing. I've got a younger brother who's a psychologist. So, that was like the quick go-to for me, because I remember when I had my first panic attack, and I thought I was having a heart attack. So yeah, luckily enough, it's in the family where someone deals with mental health. So that was my first go-to, was my younger brother, and to explain what I was experiencing, because I thought I was going to die or something. I was like, what is this? Because I was not used to it, and I had to go and seek that knowledge and go and find out, what is all this about? Why am I going through this? The fight and flight mode and all this stuff that I started reading. I was like, okay, so people actually deal with it. It was such a taboo thing for me growing up, my culture, my environment, that it was just like it was a different world, opening my eyes up to, panic attacks and anxiety and depression and all the things that as a child and growing up in my community was seen as, you'd be in a straitjacket and be carted up to a mental institution, and that was mental health. That was it. Nothing else. No other parts to it. It's just that it gets that extreme and then nothing else type thing. So for me, it was all about learning that and then being very aware. And without that awareness, you can't develop the tools and then find ways of how you're going to manage it, because it's managing it, isn't it? It's managing it rather than just saying, oh yeah, it's gone. I had to do this one thing that worked and that's it. It's there realizing the triggers and what sets you off, and being able to navigate that through life so you can try and lead a productive life as much as possible without these things overtaking it, without these emotions getting in the way, creating even more barriers for us just not to not go forwards with our lives. So
and like you said, it's identifying the triggers, isn't it? Sorry to interrupt.
I love what you said there, Mike, about managing it, because I used to think earlier on in my adulthood I could fix my mental health, and for many years I was trying to fix something that I was incapable of ever fixing. And it's only through probably maturity, experience, speaking to like-minded people that I know that I have to manage. Because if I'm trying to fix it, I'm chasing my tail.
No, I totally get you. Any more challenges, Mike, that you've been through that are maybe different or more the same you want to talk about?
Yeah, no, Tony hit the nail on the head. It's unfortunately generational, because me, dad, his dad, it sort of got worse, if that makes sense, from like the masculinity side. And I think what Tony says is right. My son's 11, coming up to 12, and he seems more intuitive with his own thoughts and his feelings. Obviously, he's not perfect, but I went to my daughter's primary school for an open day the other night, and what blew me away was the year 6 teacher had, and it wasn't a part of the curriculum, I don't think, but they put up something on the back, a massive board about social media and how to deal with it and the mental health around it. And it just blew me away. I thought, that's the sort of things we need to be teaching the kids in school.
Yeah.
As much as the maths, English and science and all the rest of it, I feel we need to start teaching emotional, like spiritual, physical, mental stuff as well, because I didn't know how to pay a bill. No one told me how to deal with someone dying or the loss of a friend or getting rejected from a job or ABCD, etc. We just sort of have to deal with that. And as a man, like Tony said, generational thing, I was not telling anyone because anyone I seen show a bit of weakness, got bullied or got picked on. My dad wouldn't even like me crying at home. He'd tell me to stop crying. My own dad in my own safe space at home is telling me to stop crying. Even in front of my mum, and my mum would go mad at him. But my dad's my dad. He's the man figure of the house. So I'm looking up to him and, right, I'm going to stop crying. And all that build up over the years, the analogy Tony said is similar to what I'm about to say. I'm like a bottle of Coke, and I'm fizzing it like this.
Yeah.
And that's me experience day in, day out. It's just fizzing up, and all of a sudden I just release it and it goes everywhere. And that was with me, was drug addiction, crime, just being a horrible person, really, to myself and other people.
Yeah. I was just thinking how freeing it is when you can share what you're going through. Like the old saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. It's so true, and as I say, it always takes me back to when my first experiences with it all and really poor mental health was feeling I had to suppress my emotions and I couldn't tell anyone, and it would be a sign of weakness if I was to share this, because like you said, Mike, having a really, these strong male figures in your life, your father, I had an older brother, uncles, you would not be crying in front of them. You would not be, mental health. We never spoke about that. No. You didn't suffer with that. You just suck it up. And the phrase is man up.
Yeah, man up.
All phrases like that, man up and just get on with it. So whatever you're feeling, it'll pass. Just get on with your life type thing. So, it's that moment when I first spoke to my younger brother about it and shared that was just like a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah,
I just felt lighter. I felt, I've been carrying around this thing for so many years about
the world on your back.
Like carrying a piano on your back or something your whole life, and then it's like now I've got half of the piano, a little, a keyboard now, as it just gets smaller and smaller.
But on top of that, Mike,
go on.
You know what I also think? We always look at our past and our generation and our upbringing, and it is definitely a part of it. But also, I couldn't cry, but it was that internal voice that I battled with. Ultimately, it goes to the choice I have. Can I cry or can't I? And having that ability to be able to just hold on to your thoughts and say, no, I'm going to do this regardless. That little voice, I listened to it all the time. I had no strength against it, no defense. I think that's on a deeper level, trying to get through to men how to, when that voice comes, that negative voice, how to switch it around. Because it was too easy for me to just sit in my pity pot in a dark room, turn my phone off and just feel sorry for myself. But ultimately, everything's just making things miles worse in my head because I'm not speaking to anyone. If that makes sense.
No, definitely.
And I think
go on.
Oh, sorry. Michael hit the nail on the head about teaching in schools as well. I think like emotional intelligence should be top on the curriculum, really, because when I used to be teaching, that was one thing that I really did try and champion is emotional intelligence and And it's funny, a, a while back when I was teaching in Harlow, I started this this idea which some woman had come out with called circle time, and we just used to, and these were with teenage kids, and at first they, you know, they, because I was a tutor as well, and it was foreign to them. But after a few months, you know, they always used to come up to me, Mr. Thompson, or sir, when are we going to have circle time? When are we going to have circle time? They loved it. And it was just a time for them to just share and just, you know, let down the barriers. And so going back to what Michael said, you know, emotional intelligence and how to deal with all these sort of everyday things, and, you know, of what goes on within us and without us, it should be top of the curriculum, really. It should be the number one thing, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just for something quite recent, we just spoke before, Mike, and I might as well share it now because it's very relevant. So I've been off work for 12 weeks due to surgery I had. I've never been off for that amount of time in my life, so I've never experienced being away from the teammates and my colleagues who will work closely with Monday to Friday, who will probably see more than my family, changing room banter. Obviously, I've been away at 12 weeks trying to do and grow spiritually and mentally and mature as a person and self-improve. Now I've gone back in after 12 weeks and I loved it because I wanted the routine. Yet the thing that hit me like a ton of bricks was the mental aspect of it, the dealing with people, the dealing with just the everyday things in work. It was so foreign to me, and the emotions were overwhelming. I'm going to be dead honest now. A few times last week, I was welling up in the corridors walking in my room, and to the point where I had to wear a mask because I work in a pharmaceutical place. So and I could feel myself, and if I wanted to, I could have really started crying. Now I didn't hold it back, but I was very aware that I didn't want other people to see me still. But I just allowed myself to feel it. Now I never used to do that. I'd hold it in and allow myself to feel it. And today I can just be willing to go with it and feel like I must need this. It is okay. Do you know what I mean? Because, and I can't explain why I felt like that. I felt the need to what I cried. Do you know what I mean? But it was overwhelming. And I can only put it down to the 12 weeks being away and coming back to it. You know what I mean? It's a struggle and it's an everyday thing. And the lads in work don't know anything about it. You don't know anything about it. And so I would be welling up and then I'll get myself together and I'll go in and start working again, having a laugh with the lads. And that's the scary thing about mental health. It's not because that I'm bothered about being honest with them. It's not the right time. And it's just doesn't work in that environment at this minute, if that makes sense. I'm hoping to one day change that.
No, I hear that. And what we talked about off camera, we mentioned a lot about, you know, that whole thing of you said it was, you know, it's predominantly men. So, you know, that whole, the banter, the masculine energy, the testosterone, that type of environment. And you've been out of that. You've been working on yourself. You had time away from it. So you was coming in and you was at a different place. So now it's like you was, and it was triggering you. It was triggering you, and that's why it was upsetting you, and it was feeling overwhelming for you to cope with at that time, because you didn't really think about it, did you? Coming back into that space.
No, I just thought I'd slot back into it. And it was overwhelming. I felt isolated. I felt disconnected to my whole team. It was a horrible feeling.
I just think we're evolving all the time, aren't we? And it's you know, things we go through, things we experience, and if you're open-minded and look at learning from things that have happened to you, traumatic, whatever it is, and moving forwards so you can grow as a person, you're evolving all the time. And not everyone's like that.
No.
So some people are just they're just there and they're happy in that comfort zone of, this is me, this is who I am. People may not like it, but I'm happy here. And they remain in their bubble. So the rest of us who have gone through massive challenges or traumatic events we found that we've had to evolve to move through what we are feeling and things like that. So, but not everyone's like that. Some people stay in that place. So you were coming into this environment as another, another layer of you has been stripped back, and now you've been exposed, and you're kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
And it's like this operating on a different frequency to the people around you. And what the energy you're giving off now is different. So that was overwhelming for you. You was like, because that's what you do, ain't it? Being around people, you connect with their energies, and it's not always positive. So that can make you feel really overwhelmed in that situation. So no, I totally get that, because I felt like that away from work for a while. You come back and you're like, there's a bit of dread coming back into work. And that feeling that you've been by yourself, working on yourself, and then it's like, wow, this environment.
I can feel selfish to the point where it's as if I need them to know how much I've been doing, because you're dragging my energy down. And it's not like that, but that's how it feels sometimes, because I do work extremely hard like you used to do. It isn't easy for me on a daily basis. I'm not suffering immensely, but I could be triggered dozens of times on a day, to the point where I don't know why a flame's gone up inside me, or all these emotions, and I can't explain it. So yeah, I can feel a bit selfish sometimes, because it does hurt me. But again, I'm at a mindset where I'm ready, I'm enjoying it, I'm working through it, because I know the other side's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the difference today.
I don't think it's selfish though, Michael, because it's people appreciate you for who you are, and and the way you are, and the way you deal with your inner emotions and all the conflicts and everything that goes on. If you're not managing it well, then it's going to affect the people around you. So I think you're being quite philanthropic in the sense of you're not being selfish, because you're preserving yourself and helping yourself in order to so that you can function and be effective, and so because people appreciate you for who you are, so you're not being selfish.
Yeah, I hear that, Tony. Thank you.
And I sometimes view that word as not even a negative thing anyway.
Yeah.
Because putting yourself first, that's not a bad thing. No. For us to be able to function and help others, support others, you have to support yourself first. And I think us as men, we feel we're the protectors, the providers, the old school mentality.
Yeah,
still within our DNA and stuff. We're still we go out and hunt for the food, put
caveman stuff.
Yeah, that whole mentality. So we feel that's why it's such a tough thing for us, especially our generation of having to experience, process emotions, move through them.
Preach.
What's that?
I said preach.
But that's the big deal for us, because in our heads we're still like, no, we should be the strong ones, even though being strong doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. So it's a bit, it's we're not looking at it the right way, because really it's being strong is dealing with those emotions, feeling them, because you can't heal until you feel. So you have to process that and move through it. But we'll say, no, let's suppress them. Like you said, that bottle of fizzy Coke, where they're shaking it every day, experiencing things. And then before you know it, this Coke bottle just explodes. And it comes out. And normally people closest to us, our loved ones, they feel it the most.
100%. My partner gets it in the neck. I'm a nightmare to live with, because when I'm off, and I am, and it's not because I know myself now, and I admit it. Do you know what I mean? I have my good days and my bad, but yeah, It is what it is, isn't it? We've got to keep going and get through it. But about that selfish thing, thanks for that, Tony, because again, speaking with other men, it's just a light bulb moment, because being selfish in the last year for me has pretty much saved my life and helped everyone who's close around me, lift them up as well. So without me being selfish the last year, I would have carried on ruining my life and everyone else's. So I hear that.
Yeah, because I think we have to use another word for it, because
like I hear you.
The analogy, like
me time.
Yeah, because when you're on a plane and they say that you've got a child next to you, you've got to put your mask on first in order to help the child. So it's just
Again, it's the stigma around men. And the whole thing that was still, even though us three are well aware that it's compassionate to be selfish and to be able to grow, we can also, on the second breath, still feel the negative nature of what that means. And not want to do it, because it's a battlefield out here.
What I like about you, Mike, when you said there that you're a nightmare to live with, because self-awareness is key though as well, because that comes with understanding and acceptance of what you're going through. It's so important that you realize. I'm the same with my wife. I can be, when I'm going through my times, a nightmare, and I realize that and go and apologize, because it's important for you to also show gratitude to the people around you and who support you in those times of need. And so, I'm going through this at the moment, and being honest, communication is so key. Is being honest to your loved ones and say, look, I'm going through a time right now, I'm experiencing some tough times mentally, and I need my space and communication. And that's a massive thing with all of this, because as I said, it's a lifelong journey. It's not going to be over like that. You're doing one thing. Yes, you develop a toolkit in order to manage what you're going through to the best of your abilities, but it's day to day, and like you say, you're triggered a lot. It could be one experience to the next, but it's how you manage that, how you deal with that, and how you process it and move through it. Is what I can say. Guys, have you got any tools you use to help you manage your mental health when it's in a
so for me, a go-to thing straight away is fitness, exercise. And I mean, that doesn't mean going and smashing weights and going on a marathon run. It can be a walk, a 5-minute walk, fresh air, change your mindset, get out, bump into other people. I can walk into the town centre, I'll sit and have a coffee on my own and watch the world go by, maybe chat to someone. It takes me out of my own head. I need to know that when that little voice comes in and I can start to feel something from the thought. So I've obviously give the thought power, now I'm feeling it. I need to, I've now got the awareness to, and I've got the choice to do something about it. So fitness for me is massive. A run, a jog, chin-ups, press-ups, whatever it is, walk out in nature. That's been massive for me. That's like a foundation that always seems to work, because it's like a form of meditation as well. If I'm running or walking in a beautiful place in the Peak District where I live near, it takes me away. It takes me away. Do you know what I mean? And before I know, I've got clarity of thought. I'm back where centered, and I can see things a bit clearer now.
No, it's important.
Still foggy sometimes, but it's a little bit clearer and it helps.
Tony?
I totally agree with Mike there when it comes to going for a walk, but and also exercising. But I think my number one thing is, besides walking and doing exercise, my number one thing is journaling, and I just write everything down. And I mean, if the tabloids got hold of my journal, I think they'd have a field day. But it's journaling is the number one for me. It's just and also talking things through with my wife as well. It's just but journaling, I really do feel that is a real you just write it down and you just release it. And
I think you've both mentioned key things, and it's really just getting it out of our heads, ain't it? letting go of it basically instead of holding on to it. When we suppress our emotions, and those are two big things I do. I love my cooking. I love my baking. I have music on. Wife, leave me alone. This is my domain. Let me cook up something. Let me bake something. That's my space for me, and that's where it's just complete. That's like my Zen moment of this complete calm.
It's like your little man cave, isn't it, Mike? That little moment in time, that's your man cave.
Don't disturb it. I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah.
I don't answer the phone. And in those moments, it's that calm, and that connects with me because I remember as a child, that goes back to my childhood with my mum, and where she used to cook a lot and bake a lot, and I'd be there and I'd help. I'd assist a little because I always found that fun, like a bit of bonding with my mum at those times. So I would help. So that kind of takes me back to that. So the inner child's getting, fed as well. It's getting that enjoyment, the inner child. And for peace of mind, they're doing something mindful. And it's really calm and peaceful. So the cooking and baking, my wife loves it because she doesn't have to do it then. But so she's like, fine. Yeah, have your moment. That means I don't have to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another important one, Mike, I must say, though, from an addictions point of view as well, but from a mental health and can help everyone across the board, obviously, is having like-minded people like yourselves on the end of a phone. Yeah. I can ring and they will instantly tell me the truth, give me tough love, and direct me in the positive way. That's a must. I've only got a few of them, but they're vital for me. It took me a while to learn who to get and but that's a must for me, building a network of like-minded, strong men who are literally practicing what they preach.
Yeah. And I think another thing to add on to that, Mike, is also managing your social media as well.
Oh, massive.
Yeah, because sometimes social media can be it can be such a lure, and it can be a real trap. And I think you just have to manage it. I'm not saying don't have it, but recently there's not an app, but something on my phone which is called Digital Wellbeing. And and since I've operated that, I mean, my phone switches off itself at 10 o'clock and then switches itself back on at 7 o'clock.
Wow.
And the only people that can contact me are like like emergency contacts, like my wife, my sons, and close friends. And it's just because sometimes when especially when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you're checking in is social media. I try not to do that anymore now because I didn't realize the effect it has on your mental and emotional health, because you've got all these perfect people living these perfect lives, which is, and you're viewing it and you think, oh, why can't I be like that? But, and it's such a lie, it's just,
So that's one of the biggest tests, I think, men and everyone, girls, boys, women, men, it's massive. It's because to me, even on my best moments now, if I'm on social media too much, something negative will be going on up here because without me knowing on a subconscious level, I'm comparing myself sometimes to other men. He's got a nice car. He's earning good money. Doesn't he look nice? And whatever it may be, and that's all feeding in. And I totally understand that, Tony, to the point where I come off Facebook 10 years ago because of that reason. And I was off social media for a few years. Then I started getting on Instagram because I thought it's that pictures and stuff like that. But I can still do it too much. But then when I feel it, I do come off. So for instance, last week, I didn't do anything for a few days. And I felt unbelievable, to be honest. I definitely did feel a difference, but it is a part of me now. But it's just having to manage it like I manage everything else. Everything in moderation is okay. But again, I hear that.
Huge point. Huge. It's so triggering, isn't it? If you're in a dark place and you're seeing all these people happy, and I know it's fake, but seeing all these people happy living this life and getting on with their lives in a positive way, it seems to the eye anyway, looking the best, dressed, wearing the best clothes, driving the best car, living in the biggest house, you know. So yeah, it's very triggering, and managing that is so important, man. I totally agree, man. I tried to keep off it for, you know, quite a few hours when I'm in that I'm not in a positive headspace, and try and maybe listen to put like a positive podcast or something that's going to be a bit more inspirational and feed my soul in a positive way, instead of, you know, that's another part to mental health, isn't it? It's trying to drown out all this external noise that is just can be very negative and detrimental to you.
I mean, certain type of music I can feel I've had enough of. So I like hip hop and rap. I like a bit of grime, depending on what it is. But even that genre I like, depending on what headspace I am, I can't listen to it because it will make me worse, if that makes sense. So thank God I've got that awareness today. But this stuff's real on a daily basis. That you could just be walking in a cafe waiting for it, and a song could come on, and that could be the one thing that actually changes you, and you don't realize that day going forward, and then things start happening after that because you're putting out negative energy, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm aware of stuff like that. I need to pick my music depending on how I feel as well.
Totally.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, music is a powerful medium, and you know, it's
definitely. Any last words, guys?
Thanks a lot, Mike. Again, great to meet you, Tony. I love it. I'll do this every day if you want. So it's just beautiful, mate, to speak to two other men who have never actually met, and to be able to speak to you like I know you, like I've known you for 15 years, and feel comfortable.
Definitely,
it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's nice, isn't it? It's I always find when you're talking and sharing his experience, it's liberating, isn't it? It's freeing. It's, you know, it's this whole letting go, and you know, you feel like you created some space, whether it's within your mind, within yourself, that, you know, for positivity to come in, to fill that void. So it's nice to just clear out and talk about it. And, you know, I always like that saying, our mess is our message. So what we've gone through, we can help others through that. So I always try and look at the positives in life, no matter how tough, how dark a place I could be in. I try and always see some type of light that I can move towards. So more shows like this. Great, guys, to have you on. Thank you very much. And people, please like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully a lot more episodes. Peace.
Peace.